Once you see, for example, what modern science can tell us about the humanity of the unborn child before birth, it becomes much easier to convince others that this really is a human being. And while we don't want to get too hung up on legal questions of personhood, we can take the general attitude that the law ought to recognize and protect as human life that which science and the medical community sees as human life.
We have also to inform ourselves. Today there are always new issues with regard to human life and its protection, and so we have to inform ourselves about these matters, and the Knights of Columbus can be a very powerful tool for educating the population in general, and also to continue your work of addressing our legislators and others in political authority to be true to the natural moral law.
One of the best tools we have for education today is the tremendous advances in ultrasound technology, which really open a window onto the womb to let us see how the child is living there, how the child is developing there. So we think that the more mothers who can actually have the opportunity for this vision through ultrasound technology, the overwhelming majority of them, once they see this, once they see what their child is like, choose to keep the child.
Always forward-looking, the Knights have begun a supportive outreach to men who suffer the emotional and psychological effects of abortion. Their newest pro-life initiative is a series of conferences with the theme of post-abortion healing for men.
One Knight who called me, he had given a pro-life talk and had included men and women when he spoke about this 2 years ago, and just recently had a man approach him. He was an inactive council member who told him about an abortion he'd been involved in 20 years ago and how this man's presentation on healing took him 2 years, but had touched him and he wanted to talk about it.
The Pro-Life Secretariat has many public education campaigns.
One of our main public education efforts is called the Second Look Project, and we have a website. We've done ads in the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, all of that supported through the generosity of the Knights of Columbus. There's a relatively small group of people who advocate seriously for abortion rights, but much of the American public is ambivalent about abortion, and so the Second Look Project and much of what we do in our public education efforts is to reach them and to encourage them to really reconsider their position. Currently, we have radio ads being aired in Boston, San Francisco, Seattle, and here in Washington, D.C. And so people are writing in saying to us, I'm getting emails, phone calls, the radio stations are hearing reactions saying, that can't be true, abortion's not that common. They don't have late-term abortions anymore. People think the partial birth abortion ban that was upheld last April has banned all late-term abortions. It hasn't. It may be preventing, who knows, a few dozen every year in the United States. But still 18,000 abortions taking place in the 6-month onward every year. We're now learning, thank goodness. It's always nice when your ads go out of date because the numbers are in your favor. As of last Friday, we're going to have to revise that radio ad because now it's only 1 in 5. But only, my goodness, that's still 1.2 million abortions every year.
Another form of education is through popular culture, as with the Knights' support for Metanoia Films and their pro-life movie, Bella.
The Knights of Columbus have been, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest driving forces of the pro-life movement in America, hands down. I mean, I know for, the Respect Life organizations and such, at the parish level, most of their funding, most of their support comes from the Knights of Columbus, just at the local level. And then when you start going deeper and understanding the Supreme Office and the history of the Knights, not only with the right to life when it comes to abortion, but respecting the dignity of the human person, it's just every step of the way there are the Knights. I think Father McGivney has a quote about this, how it was in his work, it was God working through him. And so we have to be true to that. And if we really want the Lord to work through us, then we have to be our mirror has to be as clean as it possibly can so it can reflect that light. So I would say purity, holiness, deep, deep, deep prayer, and secondly, to trust in God's will. with Bella, we've heard of 10 babies that were actually scheduled to be aborted, whose mothers wound up seeing Bella and changed their minds. And that's just 10 that we know of that are certified. I mean, who knows? God willing, there's many more.
We can really continue to make an impact and have not only the abortion numbers come down and the abortion rate, but really create a culture in which abortion's not only illegal and inaccessible, but unthinkable.